Hey, you're alive. When I dragged you out of the river, I thought you were never gonna wake up. I checked your pockets for ID, a phone, maybe. I hope you don't mind. But all I found was some loose change. So, wanna tell me who you are? Well, it's nice to meet you. And I'm sorry to pry, but any idea why you were floating down the river? What's the last thing you remember? Really? You're a soldier? But why are you out of uniform? Oh, was it a black op? Are you a soldier of fortune? You know what? Don't answer that. I don't think I want to know. But this should be a piece of cake for someone like you. There are some ruins just behind you. Roman, I think. I need you to go in there and see if you can find a guy named Al for me. He went in there a few hours ago, and he hasn't come out. I've been freaking out, wondering if he's trapped or injured or worse. I would have gone in after him, but he made me promise to stay here, no matter what. There's no way I'm leaving without him, so I'm just kind of stuck here, waiting. What I mean is, I was hoping you wouldn't mind going in there to find him? If you can do that, I can get both of you back to civilization in my boat. Please? Oh, of course. Sorry, I don't mean to be pushy. What do you want to know? Oh, there's not much to tell. Feels like I've spent my whole life in a dead-end job with an endless commute. Know what I mean? Oh, I'd rather not say if it's all the same to you. All right, fine. Sorry if I sounded cagey, it's just that I don't always get the best reactions when I introduce myself. My name's Karen. Look, if you really want to know all the tragic details, perhaps I can fill you in after you find Al? He's the guy who washed up on the riverbank not long before you did. I thought maybe you two knew each other. I guess not. But maybe the two of you can piece together what you're doing here. In any case, you'll like him, I'm sure. Once you find him, that is. You really don't remember? We're in Italy. This river is the Tiber. Not much, really. But imagine what you might find in there. Priceless ancient artifacts. Al... What am I, an idiot? You could hike a long, long way in any direction and never find another soul. Trust me. Great. So you're ready to go look for Al? Thank you. The entrance is just past those columns behind you. Please, hurry. The ruins are just beyond those columns. Please, hurry.
If you're reading this, it means I've discovered the entrance to an ancient Roman city hidden deep underground. Its existence is long forgotten, all knowledge of it lost, except in the Latin inscription here. It reads, "You who wish to enter the city, step forth and be judged. The virtuous shall be rewarded with eternal life in paradise. The wicked shall find themselves showered in gold, but in vain. For this shall be their final resting place." Could an underground city have remained a secret for all this time? Could people have survived down there, against the odds? It seems there's only one way to find out. If I'm not back in an hour, I'm somewhere on the other side. Consider this an invitation, or a warning. Al Worth. To whoever reads this, I'm sorry you had to find me like this. And worse, that you'll suffer the same fate I did. I've spent a lifetime in this place, going around and around in circles, searching for a way out. The inscription was right. There is no way back. And here there are only two options: death, or that godforsaken doorway into the past. I made the mistake of stepping through it. I wanted to set things right. And I tried. I really tried. Whatever I did, it took me right back to the beginning. Don't make the same mistake. Better to end it all now and find out what awaits you beyond that portal.
Salve, friend. I'm Galerius. Mind telling me who you are and what you were doing in the Shrine of Proserpina? What? I'm speaking Latin. You are too, although your accent's a little strange. Oh, I see what you did there. Changing the subject like that. Nice try. But I'll ask again. Who are you, and what were you doing in the shrine?
Ну тогда ходьба, а что? А я что сказал?
Yeah, you know, agricultural goddess of springtime? You're not from around here, are you? And you've just done it again. You're a sly one, aren't you? One more time. Who are you, and what were you doing in that shrine? No idea what you're talking about. Oh, wait. Are you a bit, you know, not right in the head? That's all right, friend. Everyone's welcome here. We sort of lose track of the date down here, but it feels like the beginning of spring to me, so I'd say early March? It's 817 AUC. Sorry, you look confused. 817 years since the founding of Rome. Which part of the Empire are you from, exactly? Hey, not so loud. Just saying that name could land you in trouble here. If you haven't heard, his cultists burned down half of Rome last year. Horrible business. I heard Nero executed some of them, but a lot of people are still angry with them, even down here. So, if you're one of them, keep it to yourself. But listen, most folks seem a bit confused when they get here, but you seem very lost, and in more ways than one. So, let me make this nice and simple for you. Live by our law here, and we'll all get along just fine.
А, такие машинки вообще
Not
класс.
laws, law.
Там прям
There's
ничего
just one
тяжелого.
golden rule, and the punishment for breaking it's, well, it's kind of horrific. But our magistrate insists we take all newcomers to see him, so I guess I'll let him fill you in. So then, you coming? Follow me. When I first arrived, I couldn't believe there were people living down here. But, as you can see, we've got a nice little community now. Only 23 of us at the moment, if you count the 3 who are missing. No idea how, since nobody knows a way out. But it's just big and dark enough to get lost in, if you're not careful.
Aren't you going to introduce me to your handsome new friend, Galerius?
Keep it in your loincloth, Aurelia. I'm taking him to see the magistrate.
That pompous old bore won't be magistrate for much longer. Anyone who helps vote him out today drinks at my bar
Да,
for free
да.
tonight.
Ну что, рассказывай, насколько осмысленно было брать пистолет в начале.
She's, it's not my place to say. Down on your right is our farm, where I grow all the food you'll ever want. As long as all you want is leek, cabbage, and wheat. Huh. That one usually gets a chuckle.
The bloodless shadows wander without flesh or bone.
Ah, don't mind Livia. She means well. She's just been in a bad place since... Well, you know, I don't know what happened to her. Up here on your right is the chasm. If you've got a weapon, it belongs way down at the bottom. Up on your left is the forum, where you can visit the market or get yourself patched up in Lucretia's clinic in the Shrine of Apollo. Most of us have almost nothing, just what we had on us when we arrived, and what we've been able to make and scrounge up since. And this central plateau is where the magistrate and the other patricians live.
Ну ладно
So
тогда.
don't expect a warm welcome.
Hilarious. You're meant to be working the farm, not trudging dirt into the villas.
Take it easy, Horatius. I was just taking our new friend here to see the magistrate.
Well, he's asked me to escort the newcomer personally. The farm. Go. Now.
You'd better go with him. But just remember, they're not like you and me. Don't let them use you.
What was that? What did you just say?
I said it'll take some getting used to.
Yeah, I'm watching you, farm boy. Greetings, citizen. My name's Horatius. Magistrate Sentius asked me to escort you to him personally. Follow me, please. I expect the magistrate wants to brief you about the Golden Rule. It shouldn't take too long. He's busy preparing for the election later today. Follow me. The only thing you really need to understand right now is the Golden Rule. Let me see if I can explain it this way. When I was serving in the Legion, if there was a mutiny brewing in one cohort, the legate in charge wouldn't waste time finding the bad apples among hundreds. They just divided us into groups of 10, made us draw straws, and whoever drew the short straw had to be executed by the other 9. Didn't matter whether he'd done anything wrong. One of us in 10 would die for the crimes of the collective.
Ну да, тут всего 10 патронов.
If that seems like rough justice to you,
Но я буду стрелять метко.
rude shock, because the Golden Rule is exactly 10 times worse. The magistrate can explain the rest. He's up these stairs.
We're finally alone. I assume you already know who I am. May I know your name? A curious name to match a curious accent. But I digress. I see you have the posture of a military man, though your garments are most peculiar. I pray to Mars your skill set won't be necessary here, but time will tell. Now, you're probably wondering why I summoned you, and I'll get to that. But first, take a look at this wondrous place, would you? A secret city built deep in the mountains many hundreds of years ago. Indeed. More importantly, consider the miraculous community we've built here over the last 7 months. 22 complete strangers brought together by the fates, living and working together in our own little paradise. And in all that time, not a single sin has been committed. No fights, no theft, nothing. Have you ever witnessed something so extraordinary as a city without sin? Nor could I until I came here. But the reason for this miracle is as simple as it is terrifying. If even one person commits a sin here, every last one of us will die. You see, the builders of this place, whoever they were, left inscriptions warning, "The many shall suffer for the sins of the one." From what we can gather, breaking the law here will anger the
Ну,
gods
главное, чтобы движ был
and
интересным.
provoke a terrible punishment, like the curses of Medusa and Midas combined, turning us all to gold. We've come to call it the Golden Rule. It's extraordinary that we've survived as long as we have, and each day I grow more and more afraid that our time in the sun is almost up. And now it seems that day is finally here. All that matters is that somebody in this city is about to break the Golden Rule. Why else would Proserpina send you now? Unless you and I can stop them, our doom is assured. I know that's a lot to take in, and you look like you have questions. Please, ask away.
Ни хрена себе.
An intelligent question. There was a good deal of debate about that in our first weeks here. Does it refer to crimes or to some other ill-defined wrong? Of course, everyone agrees on the basics. No theft, no assault, and certainly no murder. But beyond that, it
Почему я
was more
пистолет тогда
difficult to
взял?
reach a consensus. What about lying, insulting someone, blasphemy, trespass, trying to escape, bribery, infidelity, suicide? As magistrate, I had to exercise leadership, and so I made a decision. We must uphold the laws of the Empire to a standard never before seen. And we must honor the peace of the gods, the sacred accord between the gods and the people of Rome. It is only by offering the gods the proper respect that we may prosper, as Rome has for centuries. Barbaric? Barbaric? What are you talking about? The Empire is the most civilizing force in the known world. Rome is a beacon of light in the darkness. For 800 years she has borne great statesmen, philosophers, poets, artists, and engineers. We have comprehensive laws protecting the rights of our citizens, which have unified countless warring tribes all across the Mediterranean and beyond, from Gallia to Judea. All our citizens are treated the same, regardless of the color of their skin or their sexual preference. Can you say the same? When our people are starving, they are given food rations, and when they are wronged, they have the right to bring the guilty party before the magistrate. Our laws forbid treason, murder, assault, and rape, as well as theft and arson, and so on. No other civilization in the world is so advanced, and you have the hubris to call us barbaric? Of course, what else would we do with those prisoners of war who would otherwise have been executed? And besides, there are laws for their protection as well. On occasion, but our gladiators are almost all volunteers seeking glory, or condemned prisoners who would have been executed anyway. I do not see the harm. Of course, but with fewer rights come fewer responsibilities, and the right to be protected by their fathers and husbands. You mean the blasphemous cult responsible for burning down half of Rome last year? It's hard to blame the people for being angry about that. Are you talking about our practice of decimation? Of course. We could hardly unite all these warring tribes without a disciplined, formidable legion.
Ну, в целом, база.
I have made my pronouncement on the subject.
Чел
Unfortunately,
прям
there are still
убедил.
those here who resist, whispering blasphemous and treasonous lies in the shadows. I would be keeping a close eye on them if I were you. You see, in my search for a way to save my people, I learned of an ancient ritual to Proserpina, the goddess of the cycle of life and renewal. It's said to open a doorway in time, so that if the unthinkable happens, one person can pass through it and travel back to the
На встречу с руководителем, так это кайф. Считай, работа уже твоя.
from the goddess's shrine, I knew that person was you. You don't belong in our time, do you? 2,000 years? That is unfathomable. Please tell me, in your time, what did you see? What had become of us, of this city? I have imagined it, our downfall, 1,000 times, but it still breaks my heart to hear the truth of it.
Ну все, остается только не насрать себе в штаны на собеседовании, работа твоя.
All I can tell you is that it's a ritual sacrifice to Proserpina. I stumbled across instructions. I have to recite a prayer, and of course, as with all rituals, some sacrifice is involved. Usually that means wine or food, or in some cases a live animal. In this case, the sacrifice is rather more costly. The life of the person performing the ritual. I don't suppose you saw any sign of me in the future? I assume that was me. If I'm forced to perform the ritual, it's going to cost me everything. You'll try to make sure I don't need to use it, won't you? Well, I suppose that's all I can ask for. Well, I believe you're in the best position to go around asking people questions. You're new here, and it'll seem perfectly normal. As for me, well, it pains me to say my attempts to impose order have not earned me many friends. I fear I may not even remain magistrate after today's election. The people here would only treat my curiosity with suspicion. You shouldn't have that problem, though, unless, of course, you get off on the wrong foot.
Не пойдешь. В смысле, ну то есть ты не пойдешь, а на собеседование тоже не пойдешь, или что?
Do you ever stare at a problem for so long that you can't see it for what it is anymore? What's needed here is a fresh pair of eyes. The less I prejudice the independence of your investigation, the better. Well, all right. There are those who wish to vote me out of office so that they can pursue their own misguided political agenda. Frankly, their selfishness and recklessness risk destabilizing the entire city. I would be looking very carefully at them if I were you. You mean you couldn't speak Latin before you arrived here? How strange. But the gods are active here, and their temples and shrines hum with power like nowhere else in the Empire. Perhaps when Proserpina brought you here, she planted the seed of Latin in your mind so that you could better serve her.
Класс.
Indeed.
Ну да, кстати, расписание учебы пора бы уже показать нам.
If I understand Proserpina's ritual correctly, that problem should take care of itself. Let me see if I can explain. If you manage to prevent the sin that breaks the Golden Rule, I won't need to bring you here. I won't create the portal, and you will never have been able to come here. Thus, you'll have created a paradox. If this occurs, you should be flung back to your own time, having changed the past for all of us. Make sense? Ah, good. So, are you with me? Can I count on you to figure out who's about to break the Golden Rule? Wonderful. Now, I need you to investigate the city, talk to everyone, help them if it'll win their trust. I authorize you to enter private homes and inspect possessions and documents, unless, of course, you're asked to leave. Figure out who the culprit is, and as soon as you have a name, come back and tell me immediately. Oh, and one last thing. If I were you, I'd start my investigation by visiting Lucretia at the Shrine of Apollo in the Forum. I heard wailing from there not long ago. Seems like something's not right.
Ой, там какая-то сноска была. Ну, тупо Skyrim какой-то.
Oh, don't mind me. I just live here. Ugh, I wish Horatius would stop letting barbarians in here. What do you want? You know, some people say it's the creation of an all-seeing god who's watching everything. But what kind of an awful, incompetent god would let my sister go missing on his or her watch? Did you hear that? Curse you, you coward! Where is my sister? What do you have to say for yourself? No response. Nothing. That's what I thought. I'm telling you, this mysterious god of ours has to be asleep on the job. Either that, or, like people are saying, it really is just a children's fable my father is exploiting to frighten us into behaving. I suppose we will. I'm Sentia, eldest daughter of the magistrate, but you'd know that if you'd been invited in here and introduced properly. What are you doing in here, and why are you dressed like that? Really? I'd never have noticed, what with your flawless accent, appropriate attire, and impressive mastery of our customs. Now, remind me, why are we having this conversation? I trust you can see yourself out.
Ave.
What were you two talking about? Don't play dumb. I saw you. Having a shady little chat with old man Sentius up on his balcony. What's he offering you? Money? Favours? What's your vote worth to him?
Наконец-то слышу перемены.
What else would you be murmuring about on election day? Mark my words, Malleolus is going to be magistrate by the end of the day. And if I tell him you sided with that feeble old has-been, that you've been trying to undermine his hard-won victory, you'll have picked the wrong patron. Got it? Good, then stay out of it. Nobody likes Caput Murdae foreigners interfering in an election. Can't hurt. The name's Domitius. You want to get to Malleolus? You go through me. Why? Because I am a gladiator. That's why. You want to see me fight? Keep running your mouth, fatuous cunners. I think it's gone on long enough, and Malleolus is going to put an end to it once he's elected. He's going to announce it in his victory speech. Just you wait and see. 'Cause if I tell you, and it gets out, it'll give Old Man Sentius a chance to interfere in our plans, and we can't have that. Old Man Sentius got you already, did he? Well, I'm not talking to people in his faction. Confortuere.
On your best behavior, I trust?
Keeping an eye on things, Horatius?
As always, priestess.
Any news about Centilla, Navia, or Kabash?
Так. Так, вижу, кадры полетели. $10К битрейт? В честь чего вдруг? Так, так. Ну, странности, конечно. Еще раз попробуем.
Any news about Centilla, Navia, or Kabash?
No sign of any of them, I'm afraid.
Сейчас нормально
But we
все.
do have a newcomer.
Нормально же?
Strangely dressed fella.
Нормально.
Funny accent, too.
A traveler from a faraway land, then?
Seems that way.
Then let's make sure he feels welcome, shall we?
Of course, priestess.
A new face. Ave, and may Vesta watch over you. I'm Equitia. To what do I owe the pleasure of this visit?
Странно, просто что-то в один момент кадры потерялись.
Oh my. I take it people are quite direct where you're from. I suppose it's quite charming in its own way. Usually, however, you wouldn't simply march up to a Vestal priestess and without due formality or courtesy ask, "What is your story?" The proper approach would be to arrange an introduction through a mutual acquaintance in high office, by which time you would already know how to address me. And then you would find a way to satisfy your curiosity rather more indirectly. But to be honest, I've often thought what an unnecessarily formal way to communicate that is. So, let's do it your way. You just keep being yourself and ask whatever you like. It'll be a refreshing change. You know, I'm not entirely sure. But what about you? How did you end up here? Karen, you say? And nothing about that name seemed odd to you. Older. I see. I wonder if... No. I apologize. I don't mean to be cryptic. It's just that you've got me thinking. Have you spoken with any of the others?
about how they arrived here too. I really think you should. Go around and ask them what they remember, and see if you notice any
Я тоже что-то не понял, что на имени зациклились так.
Good. Thank you. But please be careful. I just don't want to see what happened to Livia happen to you, too. Up until a few weeks ago, she was a perfectly productive member of our little community, darning clothes and cutting hair. She was always so chatty, always seeking out newcomers and asking them where they were from and how they wound up here. And then, about a month ago, she suddenly changed. She withdrew, stopped working and became despondent, started muttering to herself. Galerius and I visited her to see how we could help, but she just looked at us with this haunted
Возможно.
stare, called us bloodless shadows and told us we were ignorant of some pattern. Look, it could be unrelated. Perhaps she simply fell ill. Or, as Galerius suggested, the weight of the Golden Rule was too much for her. But there is a small chance that she learned something, saw a pattern nobody else saw, and that it broke her. I just don't want to see that happen to you. So be careful, will you? Thank you. Now, go and follow the thread of truth through this labyrinth, and come back to me if you discover any patterns. Come back to me once you've acquainted yourself with the rest of our neighbors.
Так.
Hello? Hello?
Hello?
My name's Dooley. I live here now because I got in trouble and they said they had to lock me up. I don't know. I don't remember things so good. I think it's just because I was
Don't you just love
looking for
springtime?
treasure.
Чё, кто там?
Yes. But I wasn't. I was just looking. They said I did it. More than once. But I can't remember things so good. Then they called me mean names. They called me a liar, Billy. Yes. They said I have to live here now. And gave me this letter. But I'm not good with words. Do you think you could read it for me?
Так.
What does it say? My treasure! My friend Hannibal used to look after me. He said he always would. But then, he died. It was very sad. He said if anything ever happened to him, I had to find something very precious hidden away. He gave me this key and made me promise to keep it safe until I found the treasure. But I couldn't find it. All I remember is he said something about the cisterns. But when I went up to the high one, they put me in here. Now nobody looks after me. Except my friend Galerius. And Ek, the priestess lady. She's a nice lady. Hannibal said I shouldn't give it to anyone I didn't trust. But maybe you could help me get out of here. Then I would trust you a lot. Galerius already tried that. He said the magistrate wouldn't listen, no matter what. What about the rules? I don't want everyone to get in trouble because I was bad. Like Galerius. He's nice. I like Galerius. He made me a doll and everything. If you help make him magistrate, he can get me out of here, and I can give you the key to my treasure. Hannibal said it was in the cisterns. I can't remember what it was, just that it was way up high and very precious. Bye-bye.
Ah, it's you again. Hope you're settling in, friend. Now, what's on your mind? Well, it's a long one and kind of sad, but I don't mind telling it. I'm a farmer. Always have been. I grew up in a small village in Britannia, Camulodunum, with my parents and two little sisters. Lovely part of the world. One day, when I was about 20, my father and I were in the top paddock, loading our cart, when some Roman legionaries came along, demanding produce for their men. My father told me to run into the house for his axe, and so I did. Sprinted so fast I almost threw up, but by the time I got back, he was bleeding out on the ground, and our cart was empty. That was my first encounter with the legions. My mother died of a broken heart soon after, and things went downhill from there. I took over the farmstead, but I was young, and it was a struggle. More raiding started before too long. We'd come outside in the morning to find animals missing, our stores pillaged. These legion thugs just took whatever they wanted. One night, when my sisters and I had nothing left to steal, there was a knock at the door. I knew who they were, and what they wanted. I got my father's old axe, pulled the door open real quick, and before that soldier knew it, split his face right down the middle. But there were more of them. I never saw how many, because the next thing I knew, I was waking up with a mouth full of dirt and lungs full of smoke. My home was reduced to ash. My sisters, dead. And they left me alive to see what they'd done. Still burns whenever I think about it.
Ну, я вроде пока
Bore you, friend?
запоминаю, не знаю.
Well, as much as I'd love to get out of here, the harvest's always more fruitful in another man's field, isn't it? But Scintilla, Sentius's daughter, went missing a few weeks back. Could be she found a way out. If anyone knows for sure, it'll be her sister, Sentia, but she'd never tell the likes of me. Oh, I don't give it much thought these days. I mean, everybody here's got their own view about what we need to do to survive. But I say, let's spend less time arguing about what it means to be good and just get on with it, you know? I can't see how I could vote for either candidate. I don't like Sentius much, but Malleolus is almost as bad. Even I could do a better job. Me, a farmer. And I've never given a speech or put on a toga in my life. I've bounced the idea around once or twice, mainly as a way of getting Dooley set free. God knows Sentius is never going to do it. But from what I hear, Malleolus has the election stitched up. Nobody's going to take him on and win. And maybe that's not such a bad thing. I mean, he talks a lot about freedom, so I'm hoping if he's elected, he'll release Dooley from his cell. That's good enough for me. Because Sentius put him there. Poor Dooley was just wandering around. Look, it's nonsense, of course. Dooley's the most harmless... Gladly. All right. Salve, Dooley. How are you doing today?
I'm sad. Am I going to die in here?
I don't think so, my friend. It's election day today. Perhaps our new magistrate will be kinder than Sentius and let you out.
I hope so. Galerius, what happens when you die?
You're not going to die anytime soon, Dooley.
My mother told me, when you die, a ferryman helps you cross a river and your spirit lives on in the underworld. Is that true?
Well, yes, but...
Is it true that if you were good, you get to go to Elysium, but if you were bad, you get punished forever and ever in Tartarus?
Something like that, but...
If I die and go to Tartarus, because they say I've been bad.
I'm not going to let that happen to you, Dooley. I promise.
Thank you, Galerius. Thank you.
Now, I have more work to do, but I'll visit you again soon, alright?
Alright, Galerius. See you then.
Тяжеловато пока ориентироваться. Куда звук? Бжикают. Так, а портал же был тут, по-моему. Ты бжикаешь? Залезай. Странные вещи тут какие-то происходят. Серьезно? 2 метра? Так, где было сохранение?
Come back to me once you've acquainted yourself with the
О,
rest of
боже.
our neighbors.
Там скелет из Скайрима был.
Cerberus lifts his triple head and lets out his threefold braying.
Livia, would you stop muttering like Medea over a cauldron? You'll scare away my customers.
They follow their trades, imitating their previous lives, but they are ignorant.
This again. You're in a world of your own, aren't you?
Just as the ocean accepts the rivers of all the world, so this place accepts all the souls. But it does not notice the crowds that come. The bloodless shadows wander without flesh or bone. Some crowd the Forum, some the house of the ruler of the depths. Others follow their trail. They never do. There is only a downward path, gloomy with fatal yew trees. It leads through dumb silence to the infernal regions. Help me? You cannot help me. I have seen things. A pattern, a terrible pattern. It is better for you if you remain ignorant. Pandora. The bloodless shadow. You think you wish to know. It is better for you if you remain. The newly arrived are.
I love your clothes. So exotic. Ah, you're here. I'm so glad you decided to visit. I'm Aurelia, and I hope I'm not being too forward, but the moment I laid eyes on you, I was intrigued. I can tell from the way you carry yourself. You're a warrior, like Aeneas on a journey far, far from home. Such bravery. Ugh, coming on a bit strong, don't you think? I take back what I said. Suddenly, I don't find you so intriguing anymore. Let's just forget that ever happened, so we can at least do business. So, what brings you to my tavern? Ugh, let it go. Nothing's going to happen between us.
Блять, я кажется, облажался. Ну ладно.
You know, normally, I'd expect you to buy me a drink before asking if I want to get out of here. I guess that went right over your head. Never mind. As a matter of fact, I do know a way out. I'm happy to tell you all about it, but this is valuable information we're talking about, and I don't just give it out like some cheap oracle. So, how badly do you want it? Is it worth, say, 1,000 denarii to you?
Охуеть. Ее рот запорол. А хотя, а вот я так могу? Даже...
What's the matter? Well, perhaps you could take out a loan. All right.
Всё. Я в тильте. Блять, это еще большая ошибка.
The newly arrived are ignorant of the road before
О,
them.
не, нормально.
Just
Так.
as but the newly
Да, я буду сейвскамить, чтобы получать лучшие варианты ответов. Как ты узнал?
Ah, you're here. I'm so glad you decided to visit. And I hope I'm not being... I can tell from the way you carry yourself. You're a warrior, like Aeneas on a journey far, far from home. Such bravery.
А что? Вот.
Oh, I see. You prefer the company of men.
О.
Maybe you should go and make friends with Virgil instead. I take back what I said. Suddenly, I don't find you so intriguing anymore. Let's just forget that ever happened, so we can at least do business.
Так.
Ugh.
Ты падла.
All right.
Не знаю, ну вот, узнаю потом.
the newly arrived.
I love your clothes. Ah, you're here. And I can...
Так.
What was that? Some kind of joke?
Я так и
If it
думал.
was, it wasn't funny. I take back what I said. Let's just forget.
Да пошла ты нахуй.
Back again. Good. Certainly. For 10 denarii. Whatever you... I just try not to think about it. Drink helps with...
Ну вот, ну вот.
You know, normally, I'd expect you to... Straight to business, huh? As a matter of fact, I'm happy to tell you all about it, but... So... Well, I can't tell you too much, or you'd figure it out for yourself. But I promise... Simple. It's a one-way trip, and I'm not ready to go just yet. I think of it this way. I have something of value, and I'm willing to share it for a price. That's not
Bubble.
unethical. That's just good business. Now, do you want it or not? If I took your money without giving you what I promised, I'd be breaking the golden rule, wouldn't I? And I have no interest in doing that. Well, perhaps you could take out a loan. Ugh. All right. See ya.
Ну, душная баба, конечно.
You stay away from my money.
Чё? Хи-хи-хи-хи. О. А, нельзя брать. Ну ладно, потом как-нибудь.
Handsome. Unless you want me to slip some hemlock into your next drink, get out.
Первый персонаж, которого бы замочить просто. Чё и надо. Ну что, больная, что ли?
Ixion turns.
Фонарик, а может быть ствол? Блин, охота его уже в дело пустить. Так, какой активный квест? А, вот.
Salve, Dooley. How are you doing today?
I'm sad.
Я пришел.
Am I going to... my name... I don't... Yeah. What does it say? My feet, he gave all of that. My feet, he all that. Hannah. You.
Ой. Мискликнул. Да и насрать. Это путь или что это? Что это было? Обыскать?
Give me a moment. Sorry I'm such a mess. I just lost a patient. And the day after, she was poisoned.
She came in here frothing at the mouth, and I knew Decius had some at his market stall, right around the corner. Then that toad shrugs and says, "Supply and demand. I guess you don't value your friend's life that highly." Anywhere else, I'd just pay a thug to steal it from his stall. But there's no way I can do that down here with the golden rule. So all I could do is come back here and just watch her die. I kept on apologizing. And now I'll never know who poisoned her, or how they managed to do it without breaking the golden rule, or why she cursed that snake's cruel black eyes with her dying breath. Well, unless you have the power to bring someone back from the dead, there's really just one thing you can do. Get me that silphium resin. I'm going to have another patient in here soon. Could be in the next day or in the next hour.
Да, я
And I
видел,
will not
что он
allow
1000
this to
попросил.
happen again. I don't care how you get it, but you have to make it happen. Because if I lose another patient this way, I swear to the gods below, not even the golden rule will stop me from marching up to that Genetricum Fututo and scratching his eyes out. I'm Lucretia, and I'm going to be straight with you. I'm not a physician. This is Nevia's clinic. I've just been filling in ever since she disappeared. I'm tired and out of my depth and miserable all the time. But I'd rather take this on myself than let one of you lot mess it up. My husband and I moved to Rome from Caesarea. He embraced the Roman way more than I would have divorced him and demanded the return of my dowry. So I waited for the right time to take what was mine. As he prepared to evacuate our villa, I gathered our most precious belongings, coins and gemstones, and the moment his back was turned, I ran. I could barely see for the smoke, and the streets were full of people trampling each other. I ran for the river, like everyone else, and leapt in. The next thing I remember, I was waking up on a riverbank, not far from here.
Ну-ка. Секундочку.
Мне ж там вроде паттерны какие-то надо было искать. Так. У двух чувачков сгорел дом.
It's all right. Say what you will about this place. At least my fornicating husband will never find me. And while there's no shortage of snakes here, at least with the golden rule, they have to try to be discreet about it. Oh, this shrine was in use as a clinic. Kind of strange to set up a clinic in the temple of the god of disease. But the god who inflicts a curse is also the only god who can undo it. So I suppose praying to Apollo for healing kind of makes sense. Well, she used to run the clinic. She was a midwife, not until she suddenly lost all interest in us. One day this changes everything, she kept saying. But the last time I saw her, the last time any of us saw her, she was muttering to the statues, like she could talk to them. And then she shut herself in the palace, barred the door from the inside. She's been gone so long now, we figure she's either dead or up to some. But I really wish I could reach her, because that's the only hope I have of soul. One of my patients is suffering from terrible rheumatism. His joints are inflamed and he's in constant pain. I really shouldn't say. He wouldn't like it. And he's a little bit scary. He's become so irritable that the smallest things set him off. And I worry he'll end up losing his temper and lashing out. And you know what that means. I just know Nevia would know how to treat him, assuming she's still alive. But nobody seems to know how to get into the palace. Thanks, I suppose. I wish. Some people here need proper medical. Just don't get sick or injured here. I'll do my best. A city without sin might sound good on paper, but whoever dreamt it up didn't think it through. But snakes like Decius will always find loopholes. Absolutely nothing. In some ways, we are worse off because we can't take the law in. Oh no. Sorry, I don't mean to worry you, but no, that is definitely not normal. There was one other person who claimed she could hear the statues talking to her. But that was Nevia, and well, she used to run until the last time one of my patients is suffering from terror. He's become so irritable that the smallest thing set him off, and I worry I just know Nevia would know how to treat him, assuming she... Thanks. Sure. Do you really want to know? I mean, if somebody poisoned her, then surely they would have broken the golden rule, and so maybe it's best we don't discuss it. Hemlock, I believe. I haven't seen her in months. She's not allowed to leave Malleolas's... Glad... Where...
А, Писун. Так. Какое? Нет. Нет. Где, какой дворец-то? Вот тот? А где метки? Да, я уже сделал. Вот это вот что это? Я уже научен горьким опытом. Ну вот по ней как будто бы пройти можно. Так, я надеюсь, это дворец.
Salve, friend. I'm Octavia. Welcome to life under the Golden Rule. It's a ghastly thing, is it not? How are you faring so far? Ah, another stoic, perhaps. We all need something to help us through times like these. We've all been where you are now. I remember when I first arrived. I used to lay awake at night, contemplating the big questions. Why am I here? Is there a way out? What is the Golden Rule, and who or what is responsible for it? I still don't have any of the answers, I'm afraid. I don't think anybody does. But I'm happy to share with you what I've learned. Here, in this place, the magistrate has me owning my keep by cleaning and pruning the gardens. It's not quite how I expected my life to go. I used to live in a lovely villa on the banks of the Tiber. I was even betrothed to a handsome young man from a prominent family. But long hours of menial labour for the good of the community has its own charms too, I suppose. Oh, much the same way as many of the others. When the fires came to Rome 7 months ago,
это
my
не
family and I
совпадение,
fled for
не
the Tiber,
паттерн.
hoping to escape on a barge. We were among the fortunate ones with enough coins for passage, but unfortunately, there were a lot of desperate people, and they boarded before we could depart. A scuffle broke out, and I was pushed overboard. The last thing I remember was the water, rising up to hit my cheekbone. I woke up by the river, near that shrine, and stumbled across this place. Oh, that's all right. I'm sure it's all part of God's plan for me. Oh yes, of course. A slip of the tongue. If you like. I'm afraid not. Although, I did once hear someone gossiping down at Aurelia's tavern about a possible way out. I don't put a lot of stock in such rumours, but if you're desperate and wealthy, we could look into it, I suppose. If that doesn't work, then I suppose we're all stuck here until the gods decide our fate. I hope it works out. The many shall suffer for the sins of the one. I'd like to think that if we all love our neighbours as ourselves and do to them as we'd have them do to us, then, but on the other hand, I was always taught the intent of man's heart, and that's where I get stuck. Is it true? You don't think that's a little naive? Innocent men and women, torn apart. If that's true, then sooner or later, things are going to end badly for all of us. Please keep that to yourself. I know you're not from around here, but there was a terrible fire in Rome last year, and our emperor decided... Oh, thank you. All right, well, it was lovely to meet you. I look forward to getting to know you better over the coming months. And if you ever...
I can't believe this is how it ends.
Что это было?
Oh no. No. Ulpius, what are you doing? Get back from there. If you lose your balance, you'll fall.
That's the idea.
What? Why? Why would you want that?
Why do you think I'm stuck for the rest of my life, working for a man who treats me like an animal?
I know things are hard for you right now. They're hard for all of us. We're all in this together, Ulpius. Please just think this through. If you do this, it could be the sin that seals all of our fates. Is that what you want?
I'm sorry, but I just don't care anymore.
Please, Ulpius. Help him. If he goes through with it, it could be the end for us all. I don't know what to do. I've never had to deal with this sort of thing. Please, you need to talk to him.
А где курсор?
Thank you. And please, choose your words carefully.
Так.
Let me guess. You're going to lecture me on how suicide is a crime against the Empire. I screwed up my life. That's what's wrong. I borrowed money, and when I couldn't pay it back, I wound up in debt bondage. I'll be stuck slaving away for that Culus Cumulatis Malleolus for the rest of my life. I am out. Wherever you are, Scintilla, my love.
Ну, в общем-то, я так и думал.
Sorry.
Ulpius, no! I can't believe he went through with it. Oh Lord. That poor lamb. Well, I suppose it means suicide isn't a sin under the Golden Rule. So so I guess that means whichever god is responsible for it. It isn't mine. I'll have to let everyone know what's happened. And I guess Malleolus will have to clean up the mess in his villa. It's of his own making, after all. And I'd best pray for poor Ulpius.
Я? Это ж вода, по идее, да? Ну ладно. Ну вода это или не вода? Чё-то там какие-то странные разводы. Ну там вода. Разводы такие же. Непонятно, что... А, стоп, там дыра какая-то.
Thank you. Thank you. I am delighted and deeply honored to have been elected your
Чел, ты... А что с ним стало?
And now I make this solemn promise to you, good citizens. And now I make this solemn promise to you, good citizens. Under my leadership, you will finally enjoy the freedom you deserve. And
А, ну вот она самоубилась. Все, самоубийство не считается. Понял.
And deeply honored to have been... Did you just leap into my villa from the balcony 100 feet above? That was either extremely reckless or impressively clever. Well, why have you risked life and limb to see me? I'm Malleolus, and if it wasn't for this interruption, I'd be practicing my victory speech for the election later today. I'm glad you asked. I'll finally restore freedom to this city, just as I've been promising. These good people have suffered long enough under Sentius's tyranny. By declaring there's no such thing as the Golden Rule, it's a children's fable exploited by Sentius to frighten us into submission. Wait, don't tell me you've fallen victim to that monstrous lie? The person making a claim bears the onus of proving that claim. Can you do that? Can you prove the Golden Rule is real? Why? What credible evidence do you have for its existence?
Другое лицо. Интересно. Ну, может, с какой-нибудь обновой.
I disagree. I'll be guided by what is best for the city's people, and that means giving them the freedom to do as they wish. Surely, you're not one of those people who believes everything you read, as if a lie could be transformed into the truth by the simple act of writing it down? True, but that is simply because you are mistaken. I'm afraid not. We're stuck down here together, for better or worse. We're all going to have to make the best of it. You mean the children's fable exploited by Sentius to... I trust you can see through the door this time. There's a key just beside it.
Вот, то есть то, что я упал с балкона, он заметил. А то, что чел упал и сдох, он не заметил. Высоко, кстати. Так, а как свалить отсюда? А.
Still here.
А, вот он. Так. Так. Ну, с этим я, дурачком, уже разговаривал. Тут я уже был.
What's in Coolio Mio?
А, да? Ну, сразу бы сказал. Так, ты дворец, может? Нет? Пещера с театром, затем повернуть направо и на первой и второй развилке. За театром направо, на первой развилке, на второй. Так. Осталось только театр найти. Туда еще не ходил. Так, а это что? Это она тут заперлась, что ли? Бабка это или кто она там? Опять оргия. Это что такое?
Help! You have to do something. A man arrived in the baths. A real nasty sort, with his face all covered up. And he's got a weapon. You have to do something, or he's gonna break the golden rule.
Вернись в толкан, ща вернусь. Потрогать палку.
Fabia, but now's not the time. Are you going to help or not? Thank you. I have to hide. Hear what? What? We don't...
Блэх. Алло.
The shrine is collapsing.
Что там происходит? Так. Забавно.
Fabia, no! Oh God, she's dead! Did anyone see that? The whole shrine just collapsed on her! Oh, Fabia, why did you have to go in there? Poor sweet girl! I can't believe she is dead. Fabia, I mean. She walked into that empty shrine. The gods are cruel and
Right.
unjust. She was like a daughter to me. I'm sorry, friend. I can't believe the god.
Так, в толкан за троганием палки. Дали ачивку.
Salve. Ah, a new face. Salve, and welcome to a little community. My name's impossible to pronounce for most people, so you can just call me Virgil. You arrived on a sad day, friend. What with Julia's death? I wish we could have met under... Well, I'm an architect. Or at least I was back in Rome. That's probably too grandiose a term to describe what I do here. Help out with repairs and try to stop old buildings from collapsing on people.
А, да?
That kind of thing.
Хуёво
But
помогаешь.
you probably don't want to hear about the ingenious architecture or mysterious history of this place. Oh, I'm glad you asked. Some of these shrines were constructed hundreds of years ago, which means Romans have been arriving here for at least that long. But
Он
there's
дерганый
one thing
какой-то.
that puzzles me. The oldest shrine in
Judgment
this
Cut
avenue
собирается
isn't Roman
кастануть.
at all. It's Greek. Well, yes, that could be the reason. Or it could mean that there were Greeks living and worshipping here before the Romans arrived. Which begs the interesting question, who really built this place? And could it be far older than any of us imagine? If only there was a way we could talk to the people who came here before us. The stories they could tell. Gladly. Personally, my favorite thing about this place is the aqueducts. Those series of adjoining arches. They're an ingenious feat of Roman engineering with a very practical purpose. They take fresh water coming from outside the city and distribute it all across the chasm. It's funneled below the palace and into a cistern beneath the Great Temple. Some of it flows down into another cistern beneath the villas, and the rest is funneled to the shrine of Proserpina, where it fills the lake and allows us to fish and farm. Hey, not so loud. Just talking about that could anger the gods for all we know. I'm not saying it's impossible, but you'd have to find a way inside somehow. Just, please, try to be a bit more discreet about it. You mean the Great Temple? This one's a
Храм
bit
на
of a
обрыве.
mystery. Given the way it's positioned so prominently, looking down on us, it's clear that whoever built it felt it was the most important temple in the city. Unfortunately, someone else went out of their way to keep its purpose a mystery. You see, usually a temple is dedicated to a particular god, like Proserpina or Diana or Apollo. Usually, that god is obvious. But in this case, it's unknown. There's an obelisk out the front, which probably used to bear the name of this unknown god. But it appears some barbarian defaced it. And of course we can't get inside because it's locked up tighter than the Temple of Saturn in Rome. And that contains the treasury. So we're all left wondering, which god is that temple dedicated to? And could it be the one responsible for the Golden Rule? Unless somebody figures out a way inside, I suppose we'll never know. Of course, You wouldn't believe how often the new ones ask that question. But I'd tell you the same thing I tell everyone else. There are much worse places to live out your days. You might have a few sleep, but once you get used to the fear, knowing that a single slip-up could Oh, I just mean I grew up in the Batavi tribe, far to the north in Noviomagus, and learned to expect a bit of hostility. They weren't nearly as tolerant as the Romans. Some people say it's divine, the work of a god, but I'm not so sure. It just seems so flawed to me. I mean, once you've been here long enough, you'll notice people doing things which means one of two things. Either you don't know the difference between right and wrong, or, and I'm pretty sure, I know the difference. Good. Then I hope you'll agree that there are only two. The first is to leave. The second is to remove the ruler from power. And it seems leaving may not be an option. Good question. It's best if I say no more, but I hope you'll give it some thought. Oh, it means someone thinks I'm a sinner, and that I'm going to break the golden rule. Look, I haven't done anything wrong, if that's what you're thinking. Somebody just has a problem with my preference for male company. Hey, nothing gets by you, huh? Sorry, that was mean. Yes, I like men. And when you grow up in the north, as I did, in the city of Noviomagus, you expect a bit of hostility. I saw enough friends killed or driven away to know the cost of not, so I hid who I was for. What was it? But that kind of fear eats away at you slowly, until living, needless to say, since I'm now living underground, halfway across, my openness didn't go down well among the enlightened folk of the Batavi. Nice of you to say, but not necessary. In any case, the Romans are far more accepting, and among them, I get to be who I am. Or at least, I thought that was the case. It seems I was wrong. It's not just graffiti. The strange thing is, I keep my personal affairs to myself. I've never really been interested in any of the men here. Not my type. So I'm not sure what I could have done to upset this person.
The gays?
I'd say it's probably one of those cultists. Strange bunch. They insist there's only one god, and that if there are any of them here, they won't admit it. Not since they supposedly burnt down half of. All I know is, if these threats keep escalating, eventually my secret admirer is going to cross a line and break the golden rule. What? Really? I didn't expect that. I'm glad you arrived when you did. I'd start by figuring out who the cultists are. Or maybe ask around. Someone who lives or works in the forum must have seen. But if you find them, please don't hurt or humiliate them. I suspect they're just confused. Come back and let me know what you find. Sometimes I stare at the great temple. On the bluff, and I think whatever is on there.
Это что такое?
Stop right there. I'm looking for Tiberius Quinctius Crispus, otherwise known as Quinctius. Do you know where he is? I'm not sure I believe that, so allow me to explain something to you. I am here with orders from Emperor Nero himself to find and execute the cultist Quinctius for terrible crimes against the Empire. So, if you tell me the truth, I will allow you to live. But if you lie to me or otherwise obstruct the Emperor's business in any way, I will put this arrow through your chest. Is that understood? You are not off to a good start. When I ask you a question, I expect an answer. Is that understood? Thank you. Now tell me, who are you people, and what is this place? A small community. Ha! I was told Quinctius was a cultist, but I never thought he'd be foolish enough to lead me right to the heart of his mystery cult. Oh, don't play coy with me. I don't care if you're worshipping Bacchus, Magna Mater, or Christ. You lot are all the same to me. Always sneaking off to your secret sanctuaries, indoctrinating each other with your little mantras. The Emperor may have tolerated your activities up until now, but after what Quinctius did, those days are numbered. You say that, but if you're not a cult, then why go to such great lengths to keep this place a secret? So you admit you're not allowed to leave. Threatening me is not going to help you, but in any
Блядь, какой-то непробиваемый
that
долбоёб.
sounds an awful lot like a cult to me. And I saw the inscription saying, "The many shall suffer for the sins of the one." I take it this is some kind of mantra you all believe? A distinction without a difference. You've clearly been indoctrinated into this nonsense. Now tell me, where did you lot get enough gold to make all these statues? You lot are practicing human sacrifice too. You people disgust me. Yes, because I'm the real villain here. It's all clear to me now. The secret sanctuary, the indoctrination, the mantra, the human sacrifice. You're cultists, there's no doubt in my mind. What baffles me is how a person can believe in something with such zeal. They just can't see what they've become. However, you still have a chance to redeem yourself by telling me where Quinctius is. Do not waste it.
Так.
Very well. Here's what I know. He's a 40 to 50-year-old man
Mhm.
with distinctive eyes, one green and one blue. He's also known to have delusions of grandeur. The Emperor says he and his cult, your cult, are responsible for starting the fire which burnt half of Rome to the ground and killed thousands in the process. All I know, all I care about, is that the Emperor believes he is guilty and wants him dead. The details are not my concern. This is your last chance. Are you going to tell me where he is or not? Suddenly it's all coming back to you, is it? Thank you. For your service to the Empire, I'll let you live for now, but you'd best make sure our paths don't cross again.
Сейчас не может говорить. Так, ну у меня все шансы успеть, наверное. Это театр. Понял. Блять. Но план у меня, конечно, гениальный. Я же не ориентируюсь тут ни хера. Да, я только сейчас осознал, что мог пойти по другому пути. Ну, сказать кому-нибудь, что убийца есть, либо этому разноцветному, либо админу здешней деревни.
Thank you. Thank you. I am delighted and deeply honored to have been elected your
Он уже тут. Быстро он.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
А там что, умер? О. Так никто ж не умер. Хи-хи-хи. Ну тогда я что-то вообще не то выбрал. Так, прошло 2 часа, первая петля только. Патроны не восстанавливаются, ладно.
Salve, friend. I'm... Oh, I guess how much... Oh, and since you seem to be in a hurry, you should try out this device. Just attach the pulley to the rope over the lake and hang on to the handles. If it works, it'll be... And if it doesn't work, worst thing that can happen is you'll take a swim in the lake. But don't worry, it's all right.
Так. Тут да мне, по идее. Сейчас затестим, как это работает. А, это никак не работает. Или это только в одну сторону работает. Так.
A new face, Ave, and maybe... I don't, I'm afraid. I'm quite sure it's the work of the gods, which is strange because they've never been particularly concerned. We asked for blessings, for good health, bountiful harvest, military victory, and in return... But here, I find myself reminded of an especially pertinent... Would you like to hear it? Wonderful. It goes like this. Baucis and Philemon were an old... They go from door to door, asking for a place to stay the night, until finally they come to the little cottage, where Baucis and Philemon... They invite these strangers into their house, and offer them food. They begin gulping down the old couple's wine, and then she notices something strange. Her wine pitcher keeps refilling itself, as if by... Says to her husband, Philemon, I think these men are gods in disguise. And the vagrants metamorphosize and reveal themselves to be Jupiter. They confide they didn't mind the meager offerings. They were just pleased that you have passed our test. But everyone else in this city failed. So old Baucis and Philemon escape up into the mountains safely, and they receive their wish. Meanwhile, Jupiter carries through with his threat and wipes that city off the map. Some say the moral of that story is that we must all honor the sacred rituals of guest friendship, the but I like to think It's that we should always show compassion. I'm pleased to hear it. It must be completed by dusk. It'll be between Sentius, the incumbent. Why do you ask? I like the idea, but I know Galerius well, and his position has all. It was only yesterday that he said to me he'd only ever run. So, I suppose if you'd like to see Galerius elected magistrate, you. All of the male citizens who are willing and able to attend, unless they're running, of course.
Если бы я был женщиной, я бы не смог голосовать?
Well, you're not a citizen yet.
Всё.
So,
Ладно.
no, I'm afraid, but if it's any consolation, there are. By using whatever gifts the gods gave you. Nothing untoward, of course. I'm responsible for announcing it and making sure the procedures are followed. You can, assuming they're eligible. As I said, I'm planning to hold it before dusk. Yes, I have overheard. Very well.
А, да? Что я сделал?
Our magistrate.
А где голосовалка-то будет? Ну так потому что это мод для Скайрима был. А этого что не взяли голосовать? Так, театр. За театром пещера должна быть. Так, тебя я знаю. Знаю. Кто? Steam. Не хватает еще. Прыгуна, кажется, не хватает. А ты кто? А, ну да.
Citizens, we have a quorate body of voters gathered here to elect the city's magistrate. The candidates are Sextus Sentius Imperiosus and Marcus Malleolus Gurges. As agreed, we shall dispense with ballots and candidates will abstain from voting. Let's make this quick. As I say your name, call your vote. I'll start with you, Horatius.
Sentius, of course.
Georgius.
Malleolus.
Dacius.
Георгий.
Galerius.
I abstain. I'm just here to observe.
Virgil.
Malleolus.
Rufius.
Malleolus.
And finally, Domitius.
Malleolus. Who else?
Ну тут суицидник должен быть один
Your
просто.
decision. Your new magistrate is Marcus Malleolus Gurges.
Hail, Magistrate Malleolus. I said, hail, Magistrate Malleolus. That's more like it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bah.
I am delighted and deeply honored to have been elected your magistrate. And now, I make this solemn promise to you, good citizens. Under my leadership, you will finally enjoy the freedom you deserve. No more shall you walk on eggshells, fearing simply to live and breathe, because the tyrant Sentius told you it was forbidden. For my first act as magistrate, I hereby announce a day of celebration to mark the end of an era. The myth of the Golden Rule is no more.
The Golden Rule is real, you idiot.
For his attempt to deceive us all, Sentius is hereby found guilty of treason against the Empire.
What? I have committed no crimes. This is madness.
His sentence: to fight for his life in gladiatorial combat against Domitius. Here and now for your entertainment.
You have no idea what you're doing. You're going to get us all killed.
Wait, I exercise my right as a Vestal priestess to pardon him. I will not allow you to do this.
You're showing your true colors now, priestess. Your corruption sickens me. Domitius,
Ну, чисто для прикола.
proceed.
This is insane.
The many shall suffer.
Наконец-то я узнал, как оно вообще работает. Уже не мог держаться просто, надо было в кого-нибудь пальнуть.
You're showing your true colors now, priestess. Your corruption sickens me. Domitius, ignore her. Proceed.
This is insanity. You'll doom us all.
Lies! It is time the Golden Rule was exposed for what it is. A children's fable, exploited by a treacherous leader to instill fear in all of us.
This is why he's in his gladiator gear. They've been planning this all along.
Shut up, all of you. The magistrate has spoken. I'm going to enjoy killing you, old man.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Jack must either not come at all, or else must come and pass away.
Я думал, меня нельзя убить. Ну да, быстро как-то.
Of course. What? Well, it's...
Так. Нет, это я все уже видел. А я получил? О, а нет, получился. Так, а это кто?
Name's Rufius. Better watch. Can't talk long. Got to stay sharp. Families from Seleucia and Tigris. Babylon province. But I've been roaming a long time now. Same way as because we're all in grave danger. Magistrate made me if you were dealing with what I... Nobody is supposed to know about that. Did Lucretia tell you? Look, I haven't been at my best lately. All my joints ache constantly and...
Так получается, мне пистолет не нужен.
It has a way of messing with your head. I get stirred up by things that shouldn't bother me and then you want to help me. Do what Lucretia...
Okay. Так, попробую спасти сейчас эту Женщину.
Help! You have to do. A man arrived in the baths. Real not. You have to do. Are you serious? This isn't. Are you going to help or? Thank you. I have to hide. What? All right, fine. Come and find me in my bakery instead. Please be careful.
Получил оценки. И чё там? Говно! Параша! Ноли здесь. А я сдохну? Глупый вопрос. Так, убежала. К этому я не пойду, Додику. Пойду, сообщу. А ты кто такой?
Whatever's in that great temple up there on the bluff. Salve, stranger, and welcome to our idyllic little slice of... Certainly. All I ask is... That's hardly my concern. But if you get a job, work hard and save your coins, you should be able to... Oh, it's perfectly legal. Simply a question of supply and demand, I'm afraid. Take it or leave it. Hear what? You sure you're feeling all right? If you're hearing things, perhaps you should pay a visit to She claimed the statue was whispering to her. Nobody else could hear it. Then she shut us... But I digress. Well, if you did that, you'd break the golden rule, and we'd share the same fate as a love.
А. О. Хе-хе.
Do you think I don't know a bluff when I see one? Well, don't you dare.
Так, давай, говори, где у тебя сок, я его беру. Я не помню, зачем он мне, правда.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Ой. А чё меня подбивали на кражу, если кража запрещена? До того, как умрет Юлия. Ну сок же у меня, я же взял сок, я же его унес, верно? Пистолет же со мной сохраняется, и транспорт по канатам тоже со мной сохраняется. Правильно? Правильно. Значит, у меня должен быть сок. Ты чё опять? Да, сок у меня есть. О.
Greetings, I'm Georgius. It gladdens me to see another foreigner, and I must say, my sartorial friend, leather boots in place of sandals, trousers with precise... I have traveled distant trade routes from the markets of Damascus, and never have I seen anyone dressed quite like you.
Ну да, вот тогда класс.
From which And now you have me more intrigued than before. But since it appears you do not wish to share, we will have much time here to get to know one another. But for now... My story? How kind of you to ask. You mean to say, with all the turmoil and terror of the Golden Rule, and so few custom... I'll tell you, it is precisely because of the golden rule that I wish to remind. I say, the more of our customs we preserve down here. Oh, and if we all end up as golden statues for future generations to marvel at. A good question. A very good question in... I remember I had just been to Rome to sell an extraordinary... I rented a prestigious villa by the Tiber, invited over a few select friends, and we began making our way through some of the most exquisite wine. Now, I have had visions and awoken in strange places before. I have even found myself naked in the desert sands more than... This time, I remember people screaming, then falling into a void as empty as time before creation. When I regained my faculties, I was lying naked by the banks of the Tiber. God... Indeed. I'm lucky I was carrying a little extra weight. In any case, it seems I'd been rescued and resuscitated by a benevolent stranger. I went to find firewood for his campfire, stumbled across a cave, and discovered... Anything you like. Shh. Have you not been told? Oh, then I suppose the... Of course, the first question any of us asks when we first... And scaling the chasm wall is out of... But as they say, if the wind fails, use the oars. And here the second option is to leave the way we came in. See, the shaft is quite high. But if one gathered up enough wood, one could make a series of ladders and climb one's way out. They have. There was an attempt made by Risotto. They heard
Ой,
the
пропустил.
voice shake the entire city, and that, tragically, is where their tale ends. So it seems that to merely attempt escape is to invite the wrath of whichever god oversees this place. And so I say... Ah, yes. The many shall suffer for the sin. Have you not heard the tale of the god Hades? He was the first to learn this. When Demeter, the mother of Persephone, learned of this, instead, she changed the climate of Earth, so that it became hot and innocent people died by the tens of thousands, until at last the other gods were forced to act. So yes, we know this rule. This has always been the case. If we are to survive, I say we must each heed the simple wisdom of Thales of Miletus. Avoid doing what you would blame. It does, doesn't it? But it is not enough for us to do this alone. For even if 99% of us adopt this principle, that will never... Sadly, no matter how well we protect ourselves, their lives won't... Ah, the voice of experience. But on a lighter note, for all their grim and haunting poses, these golden statues do make magnificent models for... That, my friend, is quite the dilemma. But after some reflection, I do not enjoy the thought of another visit from Domitius if I voted the wrong way. Nothing comes to my mind, my friend. This is troubling, is it not? I'm afraid I have no idea. But my young friend Fabia confided in me that she saw someone leaving graffiti on his shop front last night. Perhaps you should ask her about it. I hope that our paths...
Ну, начинается хоть интересное что-то. Вот уже какой-то разгон намечается. Какое-то расследование. Ты чё, сдохла уже?
What are you doing in here? Can't you see this? She needs the resin of a plant called Sylphium. What? Quick, Yulia. Hopefully in a moment That was extraordinary. How did you know she needed this exact... A what? I'm sorry, I must have misheard you. I think it's your accent. That was like the gods hearing my You just saved a person's life, and you should be proud of yourself. She might even be able to thank you herself in a few moments. And maybe she can tell us who poisoned her. In the meantime, I'm happy to help you. That's...
Так, окей. Кто тут у нас есть? Барыгич. Вроде он мне не нужен. Так, а женщину я спас.
Help! Thank. What?
Так, спас уже двоих. Сейчас с этим придурком надо будет решить вопрос. С этим ничего не решишь. Ладно. Так, театр же, правильно. Пещера за театром. Тоже правильно. Дважды направо. Опа. Это что такое? Ну вот, как-то я должен научиться по ним ползать. По этим лианам. Так, что у нас тут еще? Паркур. Так. Вот в этих пещерах запутаться как-то супер легко. Ну видно, кстати, что прям Skyrim, я прям представляю себе вот это вот в Skyrim.
Fortune smile on you, brother.
Yes. Так, а я могу искупаться. С какой целью? Тина. И чё с ним? Почему сейчас подсказки никакой нету? Ну, в смысле никакого текста. А это что? Yeah, a bit.
On your best behavior, I trust?
Fresh meat, huh?
Куда-то не туда пришел.
Oi! How did you get in there, you cheeky little stuff?
Fear is proof of a degenerate mind.
Yes, yes. Так.
We're finally alone. I assume you already know who I am. May I know your name? We have? Wait, if I understand correctly, someone is about... I must have entrusted you with figuring out who the culprit is. Only, is that about right?
Как, в смысле из-за меня? Нет, не из-за меня.
Look, it's unfortunate, but all that matters now, I assume you've sought me out. Of course, what is it? Yeah.
Деться и домиться и так. Молю.
What? An assassin? Then what are you doing here talking to me? Why aren't you out there trying to stop him? You'd best go. Quickly.
Да как я его
As
остановлю?
magistrate, I hereby declare him an enemy of Rome and authorize his execution by your hand. Forthwith.
Ты придурок, что ли?
I don't believe so, no. It's not a crime to carry out the lawful order of a magistrate. So now you're an expert on Roman law, are you? Listen to me. If ever there was a time to dispense with legal procedure, it would be now. Think of it as an act of... Then perhaps you would prefer the feeling, now is not the time for... Anyway, you can, despite my weapons ban. It's been my experience one can always find a weapon if one look. Thank you.
Да, мне не нужен лук.
That may be an impressive trinket, but you're still...
That's some lamp.
Oh my! I've never seen a lamp like that. Praise Apollo. A new face. Up. Interesting. I'm not sure why you're telling... Yes, I understand many of our friends were carried here by a river current. What else? There are definitely some common threads there. Keep asking people how they wound up here. Livia's fate weighs heavily on my mind. Come back to me once you've acquainted...
Так, надо про этого типа еще спросить.
May Apollo keep you safe.
О! Пока не натворил делов.
Oh, it's you. Was there something you wanted? As much as I'm grateful that you tried to help me. The Golden Rule. That's the least of my worry. Please, just... Persistent as Nemesis. All right. I'd been here about a week when it dawned. So when my new friend Aurelia offered me a secret way out, I would have done anything. She was supposed to be my friend. So she suggested I take out a... I had to sign an agreement saying I'd work off the debt over 30 years. I paid Aurelia, and she... Hemlock.
Я заплатил бы 1000 рублей за то, чтобы узнать, как сдохнуть
It's a
от...
deadly poison
Да.
made from a plant. Drink this, she said, and you'll be out of here in no time. She pointed to a sign on her tavern saying, "Let the buyer beware." She immediately told Malleolus I'd tried to escape without paying him. In fact, he just thanked her. Of course, I went to Sentius and begged for help, but he said the law was clear. I thought about resisting too, but he locked me in his villa, confiscated everything I owned as collateral, and his wife Claudia was just as bad. I'd be on my hands and knees, scrubbing the floor clean for hours. Those two took everything from me. My hemlock. I just wanted it to be over, but it seems I messed. I brought it on myself. I trusted one of the most callous human beings I've ever met, and tried to swindle the other. I don't know how I could have been. When I've recovered, I expect their thug Domitius will come. Only this time, I won't be able to. Honestly, it would have been... I doubt it. It seems, at least until someone breaks the Golden Rule. A lot. But it doesn't matter. I made a suit. He's in exactly the same position as I am. Malleolus and Aurelia set the same trap for him a month after they did it to me.
He's probably already thrown himself from the... If so, I'd never be able to live with... I doubt you could make it up to the blood. I don't know who you are, or why you seem so...
Ну все, пойду спасу дурачка.
May Apollo keep you safe.
Туда нет канатных дорог.
Are they?
Keep an eye out for Centauri.
Вот чё встал тут? Блин, ведь канатных дорог было так много. Теперь не вижу ни одной. Ага. Ну что ж, бывает. Надеюсь, сейф недалеко. Канаты вверх не ведут.
May Apollo keep you safe.
Ворчит. Надо будет узнать потом, как его вылечить. Опять какой-то длинный путь, мне кажется, выбрал. Или единственный. Да ладно, он же не самоубьется, пока меня нету, да? Типа тут же по скриптам все. А, это я сюда приехать смогу оттуда, ну ладно. Так, чувачок.
Salve, friend. I'm Octavia. Welcome to life under the Golden Rule. It's a ghastly thing, is it not? How are you faring?
Подождите, Октавия.
All right. Well, it was lovely to meet you.
I can't believe this is how it ends.
Нет, придурок.
Oh no, 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 no. Orpheus, what are you doing? Get back from there. If you lose your...
That's the idea.
What?
Why do you think I'm stuck for the rest of my life?
I know things are hard for you right now. Please, please.
I'm sorry, but I just...
Please, help him. Thank you. And please.
Кому? Я что-то...
You know about that? How is that possible? I mean, I've never mentioned it to anyone. Well, if you say so. You don't understand. I don't want to hurt anyone. I just want it all to be over. It's too late for that. Yulia and I made a pact. And she's already swallowed hemlock this morning. If I backed out now, I'd be betraying her. I can't do that.
Пропавшая, понял.
Oh, really? That changes things a little. But we're still in debt bondage to that monster. Unless you happen to have 2,000 denarii to pay off both of our debts. No.
No.
I'm out.
Ты придурок.
Scintilla, my love. I'm sorry.
Orpheus, no!
Ну ты балбес.
I can't believe... That was not your fault. There's no way you could have given... And I...
Так. Она? Ой, я здесь впервые, кстати. Не зря иду за ней. Ну да, пистолет больше как просто скин на фонарик. Ты куда идешь? Туда нельзя. Туда можно, ладно. Сколько можно идти, блин? А, ты меня принял. Все, кто это привела? Ай-яй-яй-яй! Ты чё, блин? Ну, хорошо, придумали, конечно, ничего сказать. Ладно. Ну, я заметил, что нельзя. Дверь просто перед носом заперлась, и все. Ладно. Вы что тут стоите? А, вы, помню, стояли тут. Жрица. А чё жрица? Рано еще. Ну, шепот, кстати, прикольную роль исполняет тут. Прям как в реальной жизни. Зачем мне лук? У меня ствол есть. Я запираюсь. Не пытайтесь идти за мной. Ничего хорошего из этого не увидите. А там что, башкой бьется об дверь? Так, лук убийцы. Это ко мне можно убить его или что? Так, храм нашел. Теперь горит лук. А зачем мне лук? Опа. Бесплатные деньги. Где инвентарь? Кам! Ха-ха-ха-ха! Ну все. Пойду, значит, замочу бандита или переговорю с ним, не знаю. Надо вот его вылечить, потом он там поговорит, может, нормально. Что-нибудь, может, расскажет. Вот так вот будем разговаривать с ним.
Stop right there. I'm looking for Tiberius.
В небольшом храме неподалеку от входа в город. Второе здание. И чё будет, если... А, я засейвиться забыл. Аболтус. Ну, давай попробуем. Давай посмотрим, куда идешь. Второе здание слева. Слева? А! Вау! Вау! Вот это я умный. Вот это я интеллект. Так мне не дадут пошмалять.
Curse you, cultist.
Ой, я уже думал, он выживет. Один динарий. Так, лук у меня есть. Так, она говорила, она будет в пекарне. Надо пекарню найти. Но он сдох.
It's you again.
Где?
You mean my life story? Oh, our father found good husbands for my sisters. But I wasn't, we must have had
Да
100
ё-моё.
workers passing buckets of water, chanting prayers to Volk, but they fell on deaf ears. The fire was relentless, and it claimed everything. And
Я
everyone.
смогу каждый лук пакете собирать.
Almost
Ё-моё!
everyone. My employer told me to grab what valuables I could and flee for the Tiber with the crowds. I remember diving into the river and then
Монету? О, я дебил. Отвлекся, не увидел. Ну вот провалы в памяти, это да. Это да.
thank you. But to be honest, sometimes I think dying in that fire might have. All right.
Так, я бы хотел в эту. Так, ты портной.
Greetings and salutations.
Greetings. Чё
Hello
расскажешь?
again, my sartorial friend. I hope that
Пикатор. Сейчас на Твиче забанят, мало ли, что там это слово значит. А тебе чего?
You there? I'm sorry to trouble you, but I couldn't help but notice that fine bow you're carrying. No idea how you managed to get your hands on it, especially in the light of our dear old magistrate's ban. And before you ask, no, I wouldn't dream of trying to buy it from you. But I would like to propose a... Tell me, do you have any idea how people here end up as golden statues? And here I was thinking I was the only one to figure it out. In any case, supposedly, one or two of those arrows is enough to turn a full-grown man into gold. Now, of course, that is a travesty, a terrible, horrible waste of human life, which has to be stopped. And yet, on the other hand, I can't help but think of a tale told by that Greek fella Aesop, the goose that laid the golden egg. Use your imagination. Golden animals, insects, trees and plants. The Midas touch without the drawbacks. We are talking riches beyond imagining. And even if we were to split all those riches between the two of us, half of infinite wealth is still infinite. Interested? Look, I might have skimmed over that one, but don't be so pedantic. Are you interested? Excellent. So the first question is, how do we... Now, I have a plan. But first, tell me, are you familiar with the story of the goddess Diana? No problem. Allow me to explain. Diana is our goddess of the hunt, the moon, and the underworld, depending on who you ask. The one thing priests and poets agree on is that she carried with her a golden bow and a quiver of golden arrows. And it just so happens that there is a shrine of Diana in this very forum, with a prominent statue of the goddess herself. And would you like to guess what she's holding in her hand? Precisely. I can't tell you how many hours I've spent in that temple staring at it, trying to figure out how to retrieve it without breaking. Oh, gods no! If you tried that, we'd all be dead. No, here's what I propose. You give your bow to me, I cover it in a thin layer of gold leaf. Then you enter the shrine, extinguish the braziers, and under cover of darkness, swap out the fake for the original. It's not theft exactly, it's more of a trade. But make no mistake, this is a dangerous path, and there's no way of knowing where it... But in my experience, all the best adventures begin with a... Now, you must have questions. So, are you in, partner? Wonderful. Now, if you'll hand over your bow, this is a quality...
Так.
And here we are, a gold leaf bow.
Класс.
Now I've gone and unlocked the Shrine of Diana for you, so as quick as you can, head on inside.
Don't you just love springtime?
Даже храм Дианы, это чё? Это ты? Не понял. Я хотел фонариком посветить, ё-моё. Так, у кого тут лук? Ты? Ага. А, вот они, вы гаденыши. Так мне на башку упадет этот прикол. Убийство пчел уже не считается. Как бы зажечь стрелу? Так, и мне нужно подменить лук. Ой. Как это? Подменить настоящий. Как? И все нормально, типа. Я даже не умер, и эти пчелы тут ни к чему. Ах ты гандон.
A little bit slow, aren't you? Yes, I locked you in, and until you give me my bow, you're gonna stay in there, like Tantalus in Tartarus. No, technically, I never said that. I said, if we were to split all those riches between the two of us, infinite wealth is still infinite. It's hardly my fault if you can't tell the difference between a hypothetical and a... Oh, I do. You're just gonna have to take your chances, I'm afraid. The bow, now. And don't even think about giving me the fake one. I'll I would reconsider my position quickly if I were you. I'm not sure if you noticed, but you're stuck in there with a hornet's nest, and they can be rather... You know, some say it takes 27 hornet stings to kill a man, but I always wondered how anyone could have known that. Let's find out if they were right, shall we?
Так. Так, сбежать из храма. Но тут же нет выходов. Я боюсь теперь туда подходить. Гнездо. Так. На! Ё-моё! Вау! Нихуя себе! Скелет из Скайрима. Вот это я понимаю. Фактически это же не считается убийством, да? Наверное, и нет. Деньги. Деньги надо. А чё стены? Что водоросли? Вау! Я просто в шоке. Игра обалдела. Дай выйду. Теперь понятно, что с лианами этими делать. Взгляните на свиток поблизости. А, я вот тут скипнул.
My beloved Galatea, I write this so that one day, when we're finally together, you will understand what I've done and why I had to do it. The others will call me mad or a monster, but I don't care what they think. Everything I'm doing here, I'm doing for you. I'll start at the beginning. Soon after my arrival here, as I walked down a corridor lined with golden statues, I thought I heard a whisper behind me. A rasp of air, as if vocal cords of metal strained to say a word or two. I tried to dismiss the idea, tried to concentrate on my work as the city's medic, but that tortured whisper haunted me. Weeks later, in the hallway to the bathhouse, I heard it again and found myself drawn to the statue of a Roman woman wearing a stola. Her face was contorted with anguish and fear, and disturbingly, it was as if she was looking right at me. As I walked past her, I heard that strained whisper again, and turning back, I discovered that even though I had moved, she was still looking right into my soul. That was when it dawned on me. This was no statue. This was a woman trapped within that golden prison. Naturally, I told the others, but when I could not reproduce the results of my experiment, they would not believe me. But from that moment on, I knew the full horror of this place. Immobilized within these statues are living, human beings. It was that day, my love, that my heart broke.
Это что такое? Блять! На, блять. Блять, ты чё пугаешь? Я-то при чем тут? О, ну-ка, что у нас тут? Да, блять. Ага. Ага. Все, встали. Все. Победа. Ага, понял. это я еблан. Да. Чел, ты так тупо умереть. Так нечестно. Чё за сейф дебильный? Понял. Так, это мы не трогаем. Ха! Ё-моё, а чё, так можно было? Тут тоже враги. Ой. Это что там? Это мне надо. Ладно, стрел все равно много. Просто надеюсь, больше бегать по этому месту не придется. Так и заработать можно. Да, пистолет теперь вообще не нужен. Чё за хрень? Вот так вот. Это что, кровь?
My beloved Galatea, after I learned the terrible truth about the golden statues, I wandered the city as if in a nightmare. What must life be like for these poor souls, entombed in gold, but kept alive somehow? Trapped in their own personal Tartarus, consigned to eternal torment, too horrific for any sane mind to comprehend. I tried to offer them what small mercies I could. I began to talk to them, to keep them company. I'd imagine backstories for them, give them names, and tell them of the world, of the histories and stories I'd learned as a child. As the others became more concerned by my charity, I sought solitude from them, preferring the company of my tormented charges. Discovering a way into the abandoned palace, I began to spend my days walking its halls and sharing with its occupants ancient tales, my mind turning to those of Apollo and Daphne, Perseus and Medusa, and Pygmalion and Galatea. Pygmalion, the sculptor who fell in love with a beautiful statue, and who, praying to Aphrodite for aid, discovered that his beloved Galatea had come to life. It was then that I heard you whisper to me, Galatea. Forgive me. I know that is not your real name, just one I have borrowed from a story. But when I turned to look at you, I saw the most exquisitely beautiful woman I have ever known. Your face,
Только у вас что там, миллион?
Our meeting gave me a new purpose, to free you from your golden prison, so that I might one day hear you speak, not just whisper, your true name to me.
Того не стоило.
So I gathered tools for the long and difficult task ahead, barred the doors to this place, and set to work.
Все позолотело. А вот это здесь зачем? А, нет, не понял. Yeah.
Kill me. Please. Make it stop. Kill.
Ну, раз уж просят. Хоть я и стрелы на это трачу, куда мне их еще тратить? Блять, иди отсюда. Не очень, конечно, получилось.
My beloved Galatea, my attempts at freeing these souls from their golden prisons have not been going to plan. My first charge was a Greek woman who I called Iodame after the Athenian turned to stone by Medusa. Drilling through the gold that encased her, I was vindicated by the discovery that beneath half an inch of gold, which is so rigid it must be some kind of alloy, was living flesh. Unfortunately, this golden alloy seems to have fused with her skin, so removing it exposed the sinew and muscle beneath and appeared to cause her great pain. At first, I braced myself, expecting that inflicting such pain would break the golden rule, and yet, somehow, it did not. It seems whichever god is responsible for imprisoning these poor souls does not care about their suffering at all. They are forsaken. Undeterred, I pressed on, working late into the night, attempting to remove the golden layer that encased her as delicately as I could. Eventually, I was able to free most of her body, but when I released her from her restraints, her first act was to lunge for my throat, clawing at me with all her strength and those sharp metal talons. This was my thanks for trying to save her. Whatever possessed Iodame to
Я
attack,
убил
she
его.
was clearly not a suitable subject for my experiment, and I was forced to lock her inside an isolated wing of the palace and bar the door. As I continued working on others, I could hear her flailing and launching herself at the other side endlessly. Regrettably, my efforts failed their results, and after relocating a few times, most of the palace is now too dangerous to work in. Still, as much as my heart aches to know her suffering, I cannot risk attempting to undoing to you yet. Not until I have perfected a method that will bring you back to me, whole in both mind and body, and ensuring your humanity is preserved. I promise you this. One day we will be together, even if I have to kill every last statue in this god's forsaken place.
Нихуя резня. А эти боятся, видимо, ее. Ну, хотя нет. Они ж не могут. Но она писала, что они меняют эмоции. Не понял, зачем мне... Ну, оборачивайся.
And you must be the wretched snake who broke into my palace and disturbed my experiments. And worst of all, look at what you made me do to her. This never would have happened if you just stayed away. You're going to pay for that. You think you can bring me down with your little wooden arrows before I jam this blade into your throat? What? How? That's impossible. You're trying to intimidate me. Liar.
Ну чё?
Really? I'm not sure I believe you. But if you can undo this mess, I'll give you the key to my old medical chest in the Shrine of Apollo. I imagine it would help Lucretia ease the suffering of those still in the city. But if you're lying to me, I'll break the golden rule and kill you and everyone else in this city. Understood? You did it. You took away her pain. I don't know what to say. Thank you. Thank you. I swear I will never harm her again. I swear it. I'll stay here to keep her company. But these poor souls, what can be done for them? I've tried everything I can. I fear the only one capable of releasing them properly is whichever god doomed them in the first place. In any case, I must honor our bargain. Here's the key I promised you. It opens a chest in the Shrine of Apollo. I believe there are a few things in there which may be useful to Lucretia. Now, please leave. The door here leads out onto the palace balcony. You should be able to make your way down from there. Go, and never return.
Жесть. Ну, прикольно, прикольно. Я думал, тут будет загашенная бабка, которая про голоса будет что-нибудь говорить, а тут маньячила настоящая. Класс. Так, ну что, Гондон. А что, потемнело или мне кажется? Ага. Ага, ну ладно, сначала тут решим вопросик. Где сундук ее?
A golden bow, just like Apollo and Diana's.
А, вот он. Что у нас здесь? Кора ивы. Окей. Это какая-то задержка большая, что ли? Я это сказал, как только ты написал сообщение. Проверяй теперь.
You made it into the palace. I'm impressed. How is Nevia? Willowback. I should have known. It was under my nose the whole time. That's very helpful. Thank you. If this works, it should settle Rufius down some. I have some right here. Could you do me a favor and give him some of this? He'll just need to swallow a pinch of it. I'm hoping it will avert disaster. Thank you. I'm really glad you arrived when you did.
Ну, может, там буферизация пару раз вылезала.
That's a shame.
Ну, кстати, темнеет. Если find me, я тебя уже нашел, все. Здорово.
Name's Rufius. But what business is that? Willowbark. And this will work? Oh, thank God. Finally, some relief. This is what I've been praying for. Maybe God hasn't abandoned me after all. Thank you. I've been in a lot of pain lately. The room, it was too much. Meliodas. Not sure I trust Sentius. Couldn't. No. Who do you want me to vote for? Fine, but no more favors. I'll tell you this much. I mean, all these people just bumble along like nothing's wrong. While we're one bad, seems like I'm the only one ready. ready for what's coming? I don't know. But did you ever get the feel? No, I don't. I did hear a rumor that Aurelia, the See you.
На закате выборы. Это вообще-то нехорошо. Так, с этим я решил. Что тут у меня есть еще? Фабию. Кто угрожает Вергилию? Фабия, это которая молиться убежала? Или кто это? В любом случае, она не отмечена. Ой. Так, концы в воду. В верхнюю цистерну. Это надо сейчас сбегать проверить, кстати. Там на воде было место.
Salve.
Так, вот тут это было. Я брал в этом цикле деньги отсюда? Видимо, да. А вот доставай пушку. Опа. Есть. Че, издеваешься? Запрыгивай давай. Так, и чё я добился? При бабке. Сюда. Которую спас. Точно, надо в пекарню сгонять. Осталось только узнать, где пекарня. Еще с этим гондоном можно переговорить, да? Боюсь там.
Salve.
Так, с этим нечего обсуждать. О, ей еще можно сказать.
Ave again. And did you notice any? Yes, I suppose that could be something. But then most of us do tend to carry coins on our person, don't we? What else? That's true. I know I wasn't entirely sure how I wound up here. It's as I feared. I think I understand what poor Livia has been going through. Let me ask you this. Did you happen to encounter a stranger in the forest before you arrived here?
Да.
And did you happen to catch her name? I see. And was this Karen by any chance wearing a hood? Because I've seen her before. There's something I think you should see. I think you'd better follow me to the baths.
О, сейчас бы в баню пошли, а там такой просто убийца. Здорово.
Closely. We can't have people thinking we're bathing together.
Пекарня напротив портного. Ну, сейчас с ней закончу и пойду проверю. Нифига, у них тут баня, кстати, крутейшая. Зачем только такая глубина, мне непонятно. Типа, в чем смысл-то? Ой, тут еще от воды вот эти блики идут. Вау, класс.
All right, you're here. You were asking how I knew the young woman you met by the river was wearing a hood. Here, look down at the bottom of the baths. It's a little hard to make out in this light. If only we could see. Oh, what a marvelous lamp.
Откуда у меня зеленый свет?
Do you see it? Somebody waking up by a river in a forest to find a hooded figure with a coin. It's just as you described it, only your pronunciation is a little off. The name
Karen.
you heard wasn't Karen. It was Charon, as in Charon, the ferryman of the dead.
Ё-моё!
Charon, who, in exchange for the right coin, helps the souls of the newly deceased cross the Styx, the river that separates the land of the living from the land of the dead.
When I dragged you out of the river, I thought you were never gonna wake up. I checked your pockets for ID, but all I found was some loose change. Feels like I've spent my whole life in a dead-end job with an endless commute. Sorry if I sounded cagey, it's just that I don't always get the best reactions when I introduce myself. My name's Karen.
I'm so sorry, my friend. I'm so sorry. I take it you know what this
Я
means.
сдох.
I'm afraid so.
Прикольно.
It's all starting to make sense. All these
А ты что
people
повторяешь за
whose
мной?
last memory was running from the fires toward the river. It seems none of them escaped with their lives after all. Perhaps we should be
А, и
grateful
пожары
for
тут
the
поэтому.
final moments. It also tells us that the Golden Rule is the work of Pluto, the god of the underworld, and why his epithet has always been Father of Riches. I know it's a lot to take in, and you look as if you have questions, so I'll try to answer them if I can.
Так.
That was my first thought too. But it was also possible for the living to reach it without dying. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting you're not from here. Each of them is slightly different, whether the storyteller was Plato, Homer, Virgil, or Ovid. But they always involved the souls of the dead meeting a grim ferryman named Charon on the bank of a river. It was said that he'd help the new arrival cross only if they could pay him with a coin, an obol. That's why it was once our custom to bury our loved ones with a coin in their mouths. Charon's obol, we called it. Of course, an obol was a kind of Greek coin, because we inherited this knowledge from the Greeks. To be fair, the ferryman isn't exactly as the poets described, and he, she, they seem to appear to different people in different guises. You say you saw a young woman named Karen with a hood, and I once heard Kabash mention a stranger in a ram headdress named Kerti, and Rufius described meeting a stranger named Kumut Tabal wearing an eagle headdress. But whatever form this stranger took, they were always wearing a hood of some sort, and their name always began with a K sound. I suspect the only way you'll solve this riddle is if your paths cross again. Good question. Let's see. But that never made any sense to me. In our case, it seems Charon didn't take the coins we had. So, maybe there's something special about the coins each of us had on us. That might explain why we wound up here, but so many others did not. No. I mean, I had my suspicions, especially after... Now that we know where we are, we have to figure out what to do about it, if we don't want to be cast into gold for eternity. We don't have much to go on, except the old stories. I remember 4 in particular about heroes in the underworld. Hercules, the demigod and son of Jupiter, Orpheus, a Thracian poet, Sisyphus, a king of Ephyra, and Aeneas, a Trojan hero. Hercules was able to leave the underworld because he cowed its god with his strength. Sisyphus and Orpheus both relied on their wits instead. They persuaded the goddess of the underworld, Proserpina, to help them escape. And finally, Aeneas was able to escape with the help of a spirit guide, who led him through a secret gate. So it seems you have 2 options: to confront the god of the underworld head-on, or find a way to escape with the help of Proserpina or some other guide. It's a reasonable question, but the problem is, this place is... And even if you could build a ladder big enough, Just trying it would break the golden rule. We know that all Romans try to avoid saying it, and you may refer to him as Pluto, if you wish, but you'll only be calling attention to yourself. Do so at your own peril. Shh! Is everyone so blunt where you're from? Oh. That option would be the boldest, but also the only way to learn the truth about the Golden Rule, and maybe even put an end to it. As I said, Hercules managed to overpower the god of the underworld, but he was a demigod. Forgive my candor, but you are no Hercules. Are you telling me that you can? I won't pretend to understand exactly what that means, but if that's true, then perhaps you stand a chance. So, if you want to confront him, I'll help you as much as I can. Who knows? Perhaps your name will be uttered in the same sentence as Hercules one day. But first, you'd need an audience with you-know-who, and for that, you'll need to enter the great temple overlooking the city. The problem is, the door has been sealed shut for as long as I've lived here, and there doesn't even seem to be a keyhole. I suspect the answer lies in the desecrated obelisk in front of it. I'm not sure if you noticed, but there are 4 plaques missing from its base. It looks as though somebody, or a series of somebodies, forcibly removed them, and in doing so, dishonored and angered our divine keeper. If you could recover and replace all 4 of those missing plaques, I imagine he might be willing to receive an audience again. It's the towering stone monument with 4 sides and a pyramid-shaped head that stands before the great temple, a dedication to the god of this place. You'll find them all over Rome, but of course they were looted from Egypt many years ago. It seems one of them made its way here too, although how is a mystery. However, this one is unusual in that each of the 4 sides is decorated in a different style: Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and another I don't recognize. That means you'll need to recover 4 different plaques: Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and a 4th, a mystery plaque. Good question. To answer that, we first need to ask who would have defaced the obelisk in the first place. It would have had the god's name engraved into it, so it may be that whoever desecrated it wanted that name to be forgotten. And there's only one group of people I know of who might want to do that. There's a cult in Rome that often argued there is only one true god. Theirs, of course. They've been known to start fires, as well as deface religious monuments whose existence challenged their beliefs. If I were you, I'd go looking for them. Of course, they've all been in but I did hear a rumor they have a secret shrine somewhere. I don't know. But perhaps you should begin your search with the local Greek. Perhaps Kabash, our Egyptian resident, would be able to tell us. But I did hear Aurelia is peddling rumors about him at the tavern, so perhaps... I'm afraid you're on your own with that one, but perhaps... As I mentioned, both Orpheus and Sisyphus were said to have persuaded Proserpine. The problem is, those are the stories of a poet, a self-aggrandizing king, and a brawler about their own heroic deeds, so they should be taken with a grain of salt. First, Proserpina. What we do know about, it's said, the god of the underworld abducted and dragged. If the stories are true, then I suppose so. The problem is, how do we communicate with her without being noticed by her captor? Leaving that aside for a moment, there is also the possibility of a spirit guide. I don't suppose you've come across one of those in your travels? Truly? And you're only bringing this up now? Then again, I suppose you were worried I'd think you were as mad as Navia.
Теперь знаю, да.
Can you tell me more? Is it the same voice? What kinds of thing does it say? Fascinating. Perhaps she's a benevolent spirit. Or perhaps... Perhaps you're hearing the voice of Proserpina herself. If she has indeed been abducted, it would make sense for her to speak in cryptic whispers to avoid detection. Tell me, has she told you anything that might lead you to the way out? Oh, I see. Well, let me know if you hear anything that might be a thread through this labyrinth. All right. I would suggest not discussing this with anyone. The best we can do for them is to let them remain oblivious for as long as possible. As for Livia, it seems she's been shouldering the weight of this terrible secret all this time.
Ё-моё.
In any case, time may fortuna guide you. Although you may not need...
Так, есть еще проблема, что выборы могут начаться. Ливия — это бабка, которая с ума сошла. Так. Напротив портного ты говорил. Вот это пекарня? А это... Би-би-би, бу-бу, би-би-би-би-би-бу-бу-би-бу-би. Деций. А, ты говнёныш.
Shiny.
А, вот.
You took care of him? An accident? So, it's over? Oh God, it's such a relief. I really thought we were all going to die. I do have a question though. That shrine, the one I was going to hide in, did you know it was going to collapse?
Ха, прикол. И что, если я данный отвечу, то все?
I don't understand. Oh, I see. I should probably keep my big mouth shut then. Sorry. I promise, nobody else will ever know what you did. But I know. That was really clever. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. Oh, speaking of which, welcome. I'm Fabia. Sorry I was a bit frantic before. Need anything? Oh, there's not much to tell. I mostly just bake bread. I suppose it all started about 8 months ago. I was living... My pa had just arranged a husband for me. A fisherman's son. I spent the next week in bed. Pa paid priests to make offerings to Asclepius, a white rooster. In the end, they decided I'd do better outside, but after about a day in a carriage on the Appian Way, I remember closing my eyes for a bit, and I guess I must have fell asleep, because when I opened them again, I suppose the driver took off with his fee and left me for dead. Can't say I believe. Anyway, I went searching for help, stumbled... It's nice of you to say, but you should save your sympathy.
Теперь как бы истории у них иначе звучат.
What? You've been here a few moments and you're desperate to get out already? Good people here. Galerius works hard on the farm so I can put... My friend Georgius is always mending our clothes. And Virgil makes sure these old walls... Well, I'm just saying, there are worse places. Oh, I try not to worry about it. I mean, if people are nice to each other, we won't... Thanks. And I like your teeth. They're so white. And your clothes. Oh, I bet my friend Georgius would like to get a look at you. And I'm sure he'd love to chatter about the Golden Rule with you too. He'll be just across the fort. Terrible shame that is. Maybe this'll help. Late last night, the forum's usually dead quiet at that hour, so I came out to see what was going on. To To be honest, I thought maybe poor old Dooley had got out of his cell and was... So I put my head out and saw someone in front of Virgil's shop. I called out to them, but they just turned and... All I remember is they ran past a lit torch and the light glinted off something metallic. Armour, I think. So I suppose it could only be one of three people. Horatius, Domitius or Rufius. I hope that helps.
Сидеть? Да не знаю. Тут только разгон пошел. Либо сейчас идти спать, либо добивать. Не знаю даже.
All right. Thanks again for
Вообще я только сейчас на время
taking
посмотрел.
care of our problem. I won't forget it.
Ну а что тут вообще? Посмотрим по квестам. 4 мейна, миллион сайдов. Ну, в целом, можно даже сейчас закончить. Раз уж ты спросил. Ну ладно, с бабкой поговорю и закончу. Ой, я могу залезть туда, чтобы что. Вау, бабки! Сколько их у меня теперь? 2000 уже есть. Да не, я-то не хочу опять встать к вечеру и пропустить весь день. Я сейчас добью бабку эту и тоже спать уйду. А то режим веселенький получается. Они все тут хавают? Citizen это я, да.
Ixion turns. Just as the ocean accepts the rivers of all the world, so this, but it does not notice the crowds that come. Say it. Speak its name.
Бабку бить не буду.
Then it is true. I was right. I thought I saw it, but when the rest of them could not, I had to tell myself it was true over and over again. I must apologize if my words seem cryptic. I'd found comfort in... He gives such an uncanny description of this place. I cannot help but wonder if he him... I will do my best. There is a downward path, gloomy with fatal yew trees. The sluggish Styx exhales vapor, and by that way, the wide, thorny waste is cold and pallid, and the newly arrived shades are ignorant. As the ocean accepts the rivers of all the world, so this place accepts all the souls, and is never too small for any populace, nor notices the crowds that come. There the bloodless shadows wander without flesh or bone. Some others follow their trades, imitating their previous... I hope I have done it just... And now we share a secret. It's as if you've lifted a great burden from...
Так. Все. Ну, окей. Остальное потом. Ой. Игра класс пока что. Посмотрим еще, как это все закончится. Но вообще пока что нравится. Вначале тяжеловато, потом нормально. Не, ну это да, твист прикольный. И хорошо, что я о нем не знал. Прям, ну прикольно сделали. Так, ну что, на этом стрим окончен. Продолжение завтра, или я не буду крутить колесо. а я буду крутить колесо. Так что все. Через часов 12